settle down and then hit mute. We don't always insist on this, but today we're a big room. So if you hit mute, then just Paul, Shari, and I are unmuted, and that really helps us all hear whoever's talking.
So keep your drinks nearby. I've got my coffee because it's super early here. All right, so cheers. I've got my party hat on.
Cheers.
So if you want to grab your party hat, so good to see all of you here.
All right, a couple of minutes past the hour. Paul, if you wanted to get us started, go ahead. I'll let the last few people in.
Sure. Welcome to our block party. Welcome to Sketching PlayLab. Some of us are new to us. My name is Paul. I'm here with Suhita and our guest Shari. We started this block party, I think in May, as a way of saying thank you to supporting our initiative. And now, down the line, this is our fourth party, and we're really excited. Just a way to say thank you, connect with the community, and also tell you how much we miss our symposium, which was supposed to happen in Hong Kong, but it didn't. We thought, oh, why don't we do a virtual mini version to just connect with you and journey together. So today we are going to tell you a little bit more about Sketching PlayLab, or as a recap to the year. Since Thanksgiving is not very far away, why don't we also take time to remember. So I'm going to chat with Suhita as well, and then we will keep our guests for the second half of our party. All right, so this is a very casual hour together, so feel free to do whatever that it's helpful for you. If you like to start sketching right now, like what we suggested, you may, or you can join halfway, and we'll give you a little bit more idea how this sketching can happen as well. So we are going to first talk about what is Sketching PlayLab. So Suhita it's just going to join me and chime in.
Sure.
This is a playground for sketcher because in April, we most of us got locked in, and then we were running out of ideas. So we came together to create a platform, a virtual platform where we can play with our sketchbook, art material. So that's the beginning of Sketching PlayLab.
And Paul, that was in April, right? We started in April.
Yeah.
So now a good 8-9 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to the 9th month as well. We do a lot of crazy stuff, which I'll show you a bit later on. We play and we just kind of use concept that we may be familiar with, put a spin on it, think sideways, and see how else we can think out of the box and recreate that same window scene or object over and over again, but from different angles. Yeah. Anything that comes to mind, Suhita, for you?
No, really, I think you covered it. We've been doing this in 8 months now. At the beginning of lockdown, Paul said to me, hey, you want to do some sort of play session together? And I said, sure. And we when we talked about it, we said, all right, let's do it for a while. Maybe people come for a wee bit. We did not think twice a week, thrice a week. 8 months later, we'd still be going strong. So it's been fantastic to get to know so many of you because of this. It's been fantastic to be able to play sideways, and even when the world's been really small, to be able to explore it in many, many ways. And that's really what we've been about. And thank you for joining us for this. So we'll do a little bit of talking about what we're thankful for, maybe, and a little bit of background about what this is about. And if you've been to one of these, Paul and I chat a bit, and then Shari will talk about stuff, and she'll show you some of the stuff she does. But through it all, feel free to be doing what you're doing and sketching or painting while you do that. So Paul,
you want to go first? You want to talk about your last few months?
All right. So actually, I promised Paul that today, I'm not going to talk a lot. I'm going to keep it short because if you've been to our sessions, I do most of the talking. So I'm going to let Paul do it today. But I'm going to share a wee bit about just about the lockdown, what it's been for me and what I'm thankful for. I have to admit, at the start of the lockdown, it was really bizarre. I'm used to running out of the house when I can and drawing. And to be able to not step out and to have everybody in my home was pretty crazy. I did what I always do. I drew my kids. They were hanging around a lot. For once, I had them for the whole day. They became my muse for a good part of the beginning of lockdown. Uh, and that's sort of one thing I'm thankful for, the idea that I am never without subjects. I mean, I guess I have the kids in the house, so they're there to sketch. But I think if there weren't the kids in the house, there would have been a pet or a plant or a something. Um, it's something I've thought about a lot in this lockdown, the idea that anything can be a subject. And so I'm really thankful for having that, the ability to draw. If you know my work, I love drawing people, and it's still pretty crazy to not get out and draw people, but at least I can draw the people in my house. Um, the other thing I think that this whole lockdown brought up for me was the fact that I used to think I have to go far or do something exotic to get excited, and anything is exciting right now. If a construction crew turns up on my street, or there's a gardener across the street, or last week I went and drew the gas station, which I have lived next to but never sketched in years. So anything is exciting when you don't have too many options. So that's definitely something I've been thankful for. uh, a huge part of what I've been thankful for is this community and just other communities we have. I mean, I think that shot on the right is from our very first block party. Is that what it is, Paul? The first one?
Yeah, I think so. I recognize.
Yeah, because we're drawing the lotus, which I think you brought to the first.
I think third must be the third or the second. I think.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about the lotus as a symbol of growing out of the mud. The mud as a symbol. It's lotus, a very Asian flower, and often the lotus is found in muddy ponds.
That's right.
As and the lotus grows out from that dirt and that mud. A little bit like our lives sometimes.
Yeah. So definitely those are from an early block party, and definitely in COVID, even if it's all in Zoom, it's been fantastic to have community. I consider this big PlayLab community a huge part of who's been my community for the last few months. There's also been friends I draw with. You can see one of our guests today is one of those friends we often draw with, and we end up laughing and chatting more than we draw, but that's okay. I also get to draw people when they're in a screen. And then PlayLab has been a big part of it. And I have to say, this is a shout out to Paul. Thank you for asking me early on in PlayLab when we had no idea what we were doing.
Thank you for saying yes too.
Yes, that too. Yeah, but it's been fabulous. I mean, it made us think of the fact that actually this idea of working together goes back. I mean, we've tried, right, in little ways.
Yeah,
we've collaborated on big crits at Urban Sketcher Symposium. We've sat and chatted together. It really expanded not only in play sessions, but even outside. For me, in my sketchbooks, the idea of things I could try or how crazy it could be and how it didn't matter how things ended up looking at the end of a sketch session. And that sort of spirit of PlayLab, I think it continued in my sketchbooks. I've never been reluctant to draw, but now I will draw the same thing 20 times over and it's still okay.
Yes. Yeah, we're just talking about they're drawing the same ink bottle. You've seen us doing it over and over again.
Yes.
And Suhita is not somebody, that's afraid of a mess. She makes a mess, but it's a happy mess. Yeah.
I'm glad you think so. I mean, how many ways would I have drawn a tomato before, right?
Oh, yes.
You go into the backyard, I would have done a painting and maybe a line drawing. But this year we drew with forks and sponges and toothpicks. And then we cut up our sketches and reassemble them. So there were so many ways to draw the same subject over and over. And I'm really thankful for that. It really expanded what I could do with my small world. That sort of play went outside just Sketching PlayLab. I think some of the subjects and the things on this page and the idea of working from photographs, it's not something I do at all, but that happened in this year. And sometimes when you have to do something, you figure it's quite fun to do. So definitely.
Yeah, same for me as well. Photograph is something quite foreign.
Yeah, but it's been interesting to exploit that and see what you can do with it and bend it and break it. So it's been great fun. This might have been the first time ever. I'm usually trying to fight the fact that I'm really messy. I am so thankful for the mess on my desk because it has been my constant muse through Sketching PlayLab through the last few months of COVID. And if you've seen any of my streams, I continue to draw it whenever I'm short of ideas. So, on that sort of light note, those are some of the things I've been thankful for. All
Yay,
right,
thank
I
you.
am gonna get out of this and let you take it from there, Paul.
Yeah, so you have seen a little bit about, what Sketching PlayLab is about. It's about self-expression. Often we celebrate you, when you come into Sketching PlayLab, not so much about trying to copy a technique or trying to be us, and we are very thankful that we see people becoming more of themselves, confidence has increased, and they are able to look at the object in front of them and say, hey, I can use this way to play and express the object. And people are questioning and coming up with a very interesting question that baffles us. And but we're excited that with your question, we can continue to do research, and create more play session as well. And we try to keep it as interactive as possible. So you hear us, talking to you as often as we can. Keeping the room small helps. And I think out of this, I'm going to talk a little bit more when my PowerPoint comes from, the cross-pollination of ideas. So today, as you come to our blog party, I hope there'll be light bulb moments that you can share with us later on by typing in the chat or using Instagram. Hopefully, it becomes an inspiration for you after the party and go run out and draw something if you can, or just grab your tools. So now it's my turn to grab
Mhm.
my.
I think you should be able to share, right?
6:30.
Yes. So one of you still have your mic on. We hear you.
So
Just
yeah,
be
somebody has
careful.
somebody reading the time in their home. Just turn off your mic so we can hear
Yeah.
Paul.
So let me just do this properly. Where's my share screen? Oh, yes. There you go. I hope you can all see my PowerPoint. It's
Yep.
coming up right now.
There
So
you go. Yes.
we've entitled this thankful because Thanksgiving's around the corner, and some of us don't celebrate Thanksgiving per se, but I think it's a good time to reflect on the last few months, so that we don't just leave the year behind without really just looking at what has unfolded, because there are gems and there are treasures to be found. So for me, the lockdown is something very, very new to me, and I think new for a lot of us. And this is a page of my sketchbook. The first week of lockdown in April in Singapore. In Singapore, we called this the circuit breaker, because we wanted to break the circuit, the spread of the COVID virus by staying at home, putting our masks on, and those are really new territory for me. You can see the most significant part of this sketch I remember, from the early days of April was the cake. We had to celebrate Louisa, with Rob Sketcherman's wife, birthday virtually. So we all bought ourselves a cake or a bun or a muffin, and then we sat in front of the camera and sang her a song. Me from Singapore, they in Hong Kong, and then we had Jessie from US. So this is something really unusual and new for me to celebrate, virtual birthday parties. But I guess this will be the new normal these days. And like us, we're having a block party on Zoom. How crazy is that, right? Yeah, and you can see also my setup in the early days. I didn't have a table. I had to go out and buy a table. Then I was sitting on the floor, my iPad, and that was how I was zooming. I was drawing my ink bottles and.
Wow. So you really didn't draw at home, huh? So you weren't set up until then to
No,
draw.
I rarely draw my room or things
Yes.
on my table. I
Yes.
love to go out, but I guess it's given me a new appreciation for the small things. And I my room is messy. To draw the mess again is just an emphasis on how untidy I am, which is probably not a good idea. Yeah. So this is a page from the early days, and it's day 7. You can see on my sketchbook, and we were told by the government that, oh, you got a month to go and then it should be fine. And then when we reached close to the end of the month, the government said, let's do another month of lockdown, which I think some of us experienced. And that was like, oh gosh, how many more ink bottles I'm going to draw? And I think that was also a time when, friends also rally around each other, like you see in this slide. I had my Urban Sketcher Singapore friends hanging around me, and we organized weekend sketching sessions together. So, 2 weeks into lockdown, day 12 and day 13, I was drawing people's food across the screen. I was taking out old photographs of my travels, the fish, the sardines on the page is also
nice.
So there was a lot of recalling, and time was easy, to pass, so it wasn't that bad. So again, you can see my setup. I have a more professional setup right now, less of the mess and less of the makeshift, stands to pop up my screen as well. Yeah. So along the way, if you have questions, you can type in the chat box, because we will be collecting questions from you, so that we can answer your questions along the way. Because this is a big room, unfortunately, we're unable to unmute and get you to say tell us your question. Yeah. Anything to add, Suhita? Feel free to jump in. And
no,
Shari,
I see a lot of people seem to relate to the mess. They're saying, "Happy, you're messy. It's too much. We're too busy drawing."
I tell people it's organized mess. Yeah, it's organized. Yeah, and I'm really thankful for Zoom, because I think myself and Suhita, we signed up for Zoom only early this year, or actually in April.
Never heard of Zoom before.
No, yeah, we never. I never, Zoom or have virtual conferences. So because of Zoom, we could come together with our friends, our fellow instructors as well, to play and to chat, to talk about life in general in the early bits of the year. And also, it was a way to create virtual connection or real connection virtually with our friends from anywhere and everywhere around the world. So you can see we have Liz, Virginia, and Shari, Rob. We come together, and I think coming together regularly is it's a wonderful routine and practice, because it keeps you connected. You don't feel like you are working in isolation as well. Did it help you, Suhita?
Definitely. I've worked mostly alone most of the time for a few years now, because I work from home for a long time. But this isolation was an extra layer. There was one too many layers of working alone. So, and I missed having a symposium, because that's the one time we get together and we exchange ideas. So this coming together online has been really fantastic, to be able to even just talk about what we do.
Yeah. So I'm really thankful for Urban Sketchers as well, because it is because of this urban sketching movement that has brought myself to you guys, and I think in April, when we were dealing with the pandemic, people had differing views about urban sketching, and people wanted to go draw virtually because it was maybe easier for them not to get out. But there were a lot of tension as well. What is urban sketching? So we had to also rethink about why we do urban sketching. What's urban sketching all about? And and we had to explain to people it's okay to keep it simple, even though you may not go out, but keep the heart and the essence of urban sketching. And Watkins, our good friend from New York, a prolific artist, wrote something to the community at large, and it was really great encouragement.
That one.
Really so I'm going to get Suhita to read it for us slowly.
I need to read it for you? Okay.
Yes.
All right. In this time when our physical space is limited, our inner resources can stretch. Time to pay attention to what is at hand. Time to be closer to our families and neighbors. Time to sketch with our kids. Time to observe and sketch the cat on the windowsill. I guess the plant too, though she didn't say that. Time to view our windows as eyes to the world, our unique and tattered worlds, our stories. Those are the silver linings of this incredible moment in history. and Watkins. And I think she was trying to convince us we can still be urban
Yeah,
sketchers, right? Even if we cannot
yeah,
travel in the classic sense.
yeah, yeah. And you can see that she's given us so many ideas, to draw. But I think it also gave us inspiration, and because of this, it allowed us to think sideways. What else can we draw? What can we consider urban sketching? Drawing from
Mm-hmm.
direct observation. And it's because of this inspiration, it's how we came about to launch Sketching PlayLab in April, because we wanted to empower, inspire people to continue urban sketching, even though you might be closed in your four walls.
Sure. And what
And
we do is not always literally urban sketching, right? And I think there's
yeah,
one of those misconceptions that urban sketchers do only urban sketching. No, Paul and I have been drawing from photographs and stuff. We've been doing all
yeah,
that, but only the stuff from direct observation is urban sketching.
yeah. So this sketchy plan also did not come out from thin air. It was because of my friendship with Suhita over the last few years. Each time we meet at a symposium yearly, we
Mm-hmm.
kept do casual chats about this and that. I watch her paint. So I think because of that slow build up, like you see the photograph in the 2015 symposium in
Yeah,
Singapore,
that was
we
that
did a
first
big
big
crit
trip.
together.
Yes.
So we kind of had small moments of working together. And when I pitched this to her, why don't we do a playground for sketches? She said, yeah, let's go for it. And then we did one or two chats, trial runs. And then this were our first group of guinea pigs who came and played with us in April.
Is that the
And
very first one?
I think this is probably not the very first.
But
Because I can
close.
see the
Yeah.
timestamp 28. Yeah, it's the first three
First
sessions
session.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were playing with playing with lines.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can
Yes.
see Sweden scribbling away. So that's the launch of our sketching PlayLab, where we wanted people to come and play, but also a place for them to use it as like a laboratory to do experiments as well. Yeah, and people have been really doing really bold stuff on Instagram. If you check out Instagram feed, yeah,
So
and
that's the
during
hashtag Sketching
yeah
PlayLab, right? For anybody who doesn't
yeah
know, uh, we encourage you to post when you do stuff that's PlayLab related with the hashtag Sketching PlayLab, because it's really inspiration for everybody that wants to play.
Yeah, and if you have come to one or two of our sessions, you may have heard of some of the crazy titles that we give to our sessions. And the things that remind you to do. I hope you are playing right now, wherever you are. We are looking at the screen, and we can see people looking down, or you might be listening to us intently. But always give yourself permission to play. Because it's so easy to forget the joy of playing. And we always welcome a mess, and having fun is always on our mind. If you're not having fun sketching, painting, then it becomes suffering, I think. And you hear us talking about freedom and control this year during our play session. So sketching and painting, yeah, often it's a lot about having precision, but yet the ability to let go. Uh, you have any thoughts about that?
about
Freedom
about
and
letting
control.
go. Oh gosh, this has been the year of letting go. So if even if you were never never set up for it, I think our hands been forced. But in PlayLab, we kind of try to let go in a way in which you end up with, I would say, lots of messes and some happy accidents, but then you follow
Mm,
the happy accidents, right? And that's been kind of
yeah.
fun to see what it'll do.
And
I
you like to always remind us about sideways thinking.
Yeah, sideways thinking has really helped me this year because I can very quickly feel like, oh, I'm boxed in because I can't go anywhere. So it's been good to have this sort of sideways. Sometimes I think because we lead play labs, it's easy to assume that this just comes to me. But at least for me, I'll say sideways thinking or not getting out. It's something I've had to learn through
Yeah.
COVID.
So you can see that on the right a few snapshots of what sideways thinking may look like. We brought our kitchen to the table. We had fork and spoon, and then we had this lovely woman brought the brush that she made, and we were
I think she made
we
it with
were
her dog's hair.
yeah, she just gave the dog a haircut and then she made the brush out the dog's hair. So we had, sideway thinking, and then we had fun. You don't always have to draw with your pen and pencil. There are so many things that we can draw with. We also came up with a play session called Shifting Views and Packing Your Bags. And those
Yeah.
are our virtual traveling sessions. And it was great, to travel with our schedule even when we can't. And that has been a lot of fun as well. So those are things that we played with this year. We have more ideas for next year as well. And if you are wondering, will we repeat some of them? Yes, we will be bringing back, some of the sessions so that you can, enjoy it again. And we also tell people don't be shy to come back to the session again, because the second, the third time you do it can often, create even more light bulb moments, because sometimes we may not get everything or understand everything in one session as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part that play allows us to do, to play the same Lego blocks or the same brush, but each time you do it, do it with intention, and maybe you get new insights as well.
That's right. And Paul, I think we used to talk about this more in the beginning when we like we no longer explain the idea of play so much in our sessions because people have been coming a lot. But in the
Yeah.
beginning, we tried telling them that these sessions, think of them as your exercise class or your yoga class or whatever, which you go back to.
Yeah.
You don't say, "Oh, I did it once." Come
Yeah.
back whenever you need a refresher.
Yeah.
You hear different
Yeah.
things when you come back a second
And we
time.
talk about warm up a lot, so you can think about the hour like a warm up to the week as well, because preparing your mind, your hands to move, it's actually quite a useful way to get you started as well. So a lot of times we want to jump out, do a huge piece, but and then we're not aligned, our body is just not together and in sync. So I think some of you found this helpful to kind of just prepare yourself using play, and
Mm-hmm.
be in the right frame of mind. Yeah. So we look forward to you coming and doing crazy stuff with us next year. We are thankful. I am thankful personally for Sketching PlayLab, for your friendship as well, especially for those who are in this room. Without you, your presence, your support, we wouldn't have lasted this long. And also, we have friends like Liz still from Sydney who came to support us in our last block party. So today we have Shari as well. So she'll come on very shortly. So yes, I'm very thankful for your friendship.
Yeah, that's been amazing. The friends that have stepped up. I mean,
Uh,
we've never really explained what this is about. This is this thing we do when we play, and friends have stepped up and said, "Oh, I'll come in." And Shari's
yeah,
actually doing two. This is the first time we're doing two parties, so that we've done parties before, but we haven't done a second one. So it's really
yeah,
hard for our European friends to join us, right? So thank you,
yeah.
Shari, for coming to two of them, because you'll hear Paul and me say the same things over and over.
Well, we'll try to play and make it different. So for me, tremendous joy when lockdown was lifted, in June, and I was looking forward to it because it's like the first urban sketching since lockdown, and I could now go out with my friends. But we can only meet 5 friends. That's our maximum limit.
Uh-huh.
And this was the page of that day, 20th of June, that I'll remember for a long time.
Right.
Where I sat at the street, rainy day, drawing, next to William. And of course, we had to go to the cafe and do a cafe sketch, go to end the day, and I think looking back, those little moments were significant moments as well, because you never tasted how sweet urban sketching or just drawing on the street is, until
Yeah.
you are denied of it. So I think a lot of us, we will also enjoy now going out a little bit more, or at least hanging out with us. So what we're gonna do as we come to the halfway point of our block parties, we'll kind of pause and spend time to practice gratitude by drawing and redrawing special moments. So if you have a special page on your sketchbook, you may want to redraw that moment, not to copy it, but just to kind of remember what went through your mind, how did it feel, when you were doing that sketch. Or it can be an object that has significant meaning. So today on my table, I've got my hiking shoes. One of the, I think it's a right foot, yeah. Because my shoe has taken me on so many hiking trips and walk in nature that I've never done really in my life until lockdown. So I think I'm gonna draw it.
Nice.
I also did a lot of vegetables, this year, which is
That's
crazy,
true.
like all the fruits. Yeah.
I know we
So
saw a lot of dragon fruit sketches a few
yeah, you
months
saw a lot of
ago.
dragon fruit. Yeah, yeah. So it was quite fascinating. So let's take in the next 5 minutes to pause to reflect on the anything that will help you practice gratitude by remembering the year as well. And during these 5 minutes, I'm going to also play a special piece of music written by my friend uh, Ming Kui, okay, from Melbourne. It's called After the Storm. Okay,
Lovely.
so
And
let me
then
just check.
yep,
Yeah,
you're
let
going to
me
play
just
it
check
now, right?
this.
And then after that, for those of you that are wondering when Shari is going to come on, she will come on, I promise you.
Yeah, so let me just check that I've got sound. Okay, so enjoy the next few minutes of quiet contemplation. So
Lovely.
now I'm going to pass the time to Suhita to bring in our next guest.
Yeah,
And
let's.
I'm sure you are looking forward to it. So I'm going to stop share right now. So Suhita.
Lovely. So thank you for that, Paul. That was a nice little pause between you and me talking a lot. And hopefully people got to drawing, but I know you're also waiting to listen to and watch our guest speaker. So today we have Shari Blaukopf with us. Paul told me to introduce her. I'm thinking I'm going to let her introduce herself, let her show you her work, and then if you happen to be one of those people for some reason that didn't know her, she's going to share her website and stuff with you so you can find out more. So we'll Shari, take it from there. Let's have you talk about the
Welcome,
stuff you want
Shari.
to share today. Thank you for doing today.
Here we go.
There you
Unmuted.
go. Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, good. Okay. So thank you guys for inviting me. So nice to be here. And, I met Suhita. How long ago did we meet each other, Suhita?
Gosh, for the first time,
Barcelona?
Barcelona. Which year was that, Paul? Barcelona?
Maybe.
I met Suhita in Barcelona
Same one,
2014.
same one. 2014? No,
Something
13
13.
like
months.
that, or 13.
2013. Because
And
Yeah,
we've been sketching together ever since
yeah,
at the
yeah,
symposia, right?
yes.
Anyway,
yes.
so it's nice to be here. I mean, you guys, I think, have saved me a little bit during COVID because I haven't seen any of my sketching friends. So when
Yeah.
you offered me the opportunity, let's do a Zoom session, I was like, yes, now? Can we do it right
Yeah.
now? So it's great to be here. But I thought I made a little PowerPoint or a little PDF also just so I could share with people what I've been doing during COVID, because I was supposed to be traveling and teaching.
Mhm.
And I was in the middle of traveling in March and teaching in South Carolina when we had to finish my workshop and rush home before the Canadian border closed.
Wow.
And so I came home and I've been home ever since. And there were a lot of trips that got canceled. So what have I been doing since then? So that's what I'm going to share with you now. So let's see. Let's get my little presentation. Okay, can you guys all
Yes.
see that?
We see that. Lovely.
Okay, so I love that idea of being thankful, the theme that Suhita and Paul came up with, and it got me thinking about something that I've said again and again about these last 8 months, is that I went from working full time to teaching sketching full time, and no time in between, and not a lot of time at home. And the thing that I keep saying that I'm thankful for is this gift of time at home. So I started looking through all the work that I've been doing, and I was thinking that, oh, well, it seems like I haven't done that much since I've been home. But then when I started looking at it, I realized that I had done a lot and filled up a lot of sketchbooks. So when I started looking at it, I saw different themes. So the big one was that our two sons, who are grown and moved out, but they're single guys, they somehow managed to make it home really quickly. One lives in Vancouver, BC, and one lives in Montreal. One was working in the Philippines, and he came home the same day as we did in the middle of March, and he quarantined here. He stayed for 9 weeks. I guess the food was good. So he stayed for 9 weeks, and his brother stayed for 7. He came from Vancouver, and he stayed here for 7 weeks. And it was a crazy, crazy time because, my husband and I were working, and these two boys were working, and we all had to find our space in the house. So we would all work, and then occasionally I would sneak up and find someone reading or working or sleeping, and I would sketch them. And I haven't had that chance, because they've been out of the house for at least 5 years. So, every day we would meet for dinner, and someone would cook, and we just, that was a gift. That was a real gift. And without COVID, I wouldn't have had that. So I was very, very happy for that. Also, my dog Alice, if anybody follows my blog, they know that I draw my dog all the time in the absence of human models. But I also, when I travel, I have to bring her to, she has to stay with someone. So Alice got a gift too, because she got to stay home with me and all of us, really. And so you can see she gets a lot of walks. I mean, she's she's a yellow lab, and I can only draw her when she's sleeping, so it's always after a walk. But it also gave me a lot of time to practice on my iPad and do different things. So time for the dog. And then time to sketch the everyday things and the things that I think will be meaningful when COVID is over and we all look back at our sketchbooks. Like if you remember in early COVID days when we were scrubbing our hands and singing happy birthday and counting to 20 and then constantly putting on hand cream. You remember that? Because our hands were so rough from all that.
That's what you have on the top right.
That's the top right. That's all the hand creams that I was using. And then there were, I think, days that were kind of black when it looked like, in Quebec, the situation was very, very bad. The situation in the nursing homes was terrible. People were dying, so many a day. And there were times when I just couldn't draw in color at all. So like those black and white shoes and the mess in my sink in black and white. It was just, I couldn't see any color at all. So, those are things that, I mean, it was kind of interesting to look at them now, but I will always remember those as being the days where there was no color in the world. And then opening my pantry or, looking at the stuff on the counter, and also thinking of how we used to scrub all our stuff because we didn't know where the germs were. So all the vegetables on the counter drying after we scrubbed them. So I think that's kind of significant in the past 8 months. Then I also did a series because I bought these tulips in April, tulips and daffodils. And I said, I'm going to draw them as they open all the way till they die. And every day I did one, I think, but I didn't make them pretty. I put them in the mess on the counter, and with the kids at home, there was always something going on that counter. My one son did a 14-day pasta challenge. So there was always pasta and all kinds of stuff. So every day I tried. I did markers. I used CASEIN. I used gouache. I used, different pigments, colored pencils. So that series was really fun too, to try. And then I did a lot more playing with CASEIN and gouache, just little still lifes, and used toned paper. And these are all the things I never had time to do, was to really say, okay, what do I want to try? So it was really fun every day to figure out what I wanted to play with. And then I did, what is CASEIN? Cynthia's asking, so I'll just explain that. It's a water-based pigment as well. It's a water-soluble pigment, but it's milk-based. So it has kind of a weird smell, and it's highly pigmented. So it's kind of like gouache. It's sort of like an opaque pigment. You can dilute it with water. You can use it opaquely or transparently, but it's a very, very strong pigment. Like it's very hard on your brushes. So all you need is a tiny dot. So if I go back, the bananas and the grapes were done in CASEIN.
Shari, there's a couple of other questions related to that. If you want to answer now, or tell me if you want to answer.
No, you can. I can answer.
There's one saying that how big are the daffodil pieces, and the other one says, what's been your favorite new art supply through all this?
Okay. So these sketches, if I go back, are all A4 size. They were all done in an etcher sketchbook. So they're about 8 by 11.
Okay.
And in a cold press book. And those etcher books I love. So that's what I use most of the time now. because it's the only sketchbook that I found that's most like watercolor paper, that has real watercolor paper.
Oh, okay.
And so these are mostly all either on toned paper or Stillman and Byrne or Strathmore paper.
Nice. So
The
you're
black,
using different stuff. You're using also.
I'm using different stuff. Yeah, the black paper is, a friend of mine gave me a moleskin book of black paper. I think it's made, I don't know what it's made for, but anyway, I tried doing gouache on it and I loved it.
Yeah.
So I've been playing a lot more with gouache, which is really nice. You know, I tried oils a couple of years ago and they're just so messy. So I like gouache because I can, as a longtime watercolorist and used to saving the whites of the paper, I like gouache because I can add white on top.
Yeah.
Like if you look at that black paper where I put on the little caps of the paint tubes, that it's so much fun to be able to put white on top of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been having fun with opaque and transparent. This is another series.
Very quickly, Shari,
yeah, sure,
for people
sure.
that are asking really specific supply questions, I just want to tell them, send them to the chat. And what I'm going to do is collect all that information and put it in an email for you. So Shari doesn't go through every supply. Go ahead, Shari.
Right. And I can, you know, if you send me questions, then I can answer them and then you can send them out to people at the end or whatever. Okay. So I get vegetables every year from a local farmer that has a community supported agriculture basket, and I've been getting it for about 10 years, but I'm never here to get the flower share. So this year I got the flower share, which means every time I pick up my vegetables, I also got a bouquet. Nice. And so I decided I was going to paint all the bouquets. So that's what those bouquets are. So I had time.
Lovely and wild. They're not your standard grocery store bouquet.
Yeah, that's what I like about them. You know, there are all these weird things that I would never grow in my garden. I had to look them up. I had to look up a lot of them, what they were. And some of them are actually, you know, vegetables that have kept on growing. Like one day I got the bouquet and there was this really strong scent of dill, and I realized there was dill branches or something in there. Wow. Yeah, they're fantastic. And then my own garden usually is very, very neglected in the summer because I'm always at some symposium or teaching somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I had time to actually work in my garden, take care of it, and then sketch it. So it was really fun to have time this summer to and sit and enjoy it. That was the other thing. I had time to sit and enjoy it. Yeah, never get to do that. So I enjoyed the summer for that. And then I never get to explore, or I haven't in the past, 9 years since I've been traveling for sketching, because I was teaching full-time in a college and always had to use my summer holidays to give workshops. I never had time to explore Montreal in the summer or places close to Montreal. And this summer we couldn't really travel far, but I traveled both in my neighborhood and I went to Charlevoix, which is about 4 hours away. So the two sketches in the bottom are from Charlevoix. It's on the St. Lawrence River, a really scenic place. And that was so nice to be able to go to places close to home. Yes. And sketch near here. So I like that a lot. And then I've been wanting to create my own video classes for a long time. And when I was away during COVID, during the start of COVID, my husband and I filmed one video of me drawing the ruins, these ruins that were at the place where I was in South Carolina. And so we thought, well, now that we're home, we have more time at home, I could actually create my own classes. So I think I saw some names of people who are actually in those classes. And so I was very happy, really happy to be able to turn part of my house into a filming studio and be able to create, that was the first one, Sketching Structure in the Garden, that came out in April. And then I think I'm on my 8th. The one that's down on the bottom is coming out this weekend, Mexican street scene, sketching urban life and
That's
texture.
exciting. And for everybody that's
Wow.
wondering, for those of you that don't know about these, I will send out links when I send out a wrap up at the end. So don't worry, you'll get links to everything.
Yeah, so it's been really fun to be able to ask people what they want to learn and sketch everything from flowers to water to, you know, shadows. And it's been so much fun for me, and you know, just very stimulating, and the feedback has been great. So I'm very, very thankful for that. And I have to say that, you know, without my sketching friends to keep, it's really hard to create in a vacuum. So I'm really happy and thankful that I've been staying in touch with all my sketching friends, and on Zoom with you guys.
Yeah.
And yay. And also really, really thankful for my students who, you know, I couldn't put them all in, but there are some of them from the past few workshops, my in-person workshops. But I can't tell you how much I miss my students, and, you know, actually teaching in person. So I can't wait till there's a vaccine and I can get out and not only sketch outside again, but sketch with people, with friends, and teach again. So
yes, yay to that.
Yeah, yay. Suhita and I, we talk about this all the time. We say first place we're going is Mexico.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
we were both supposed to teach in Mexico this month, right? October and November.
Yes.
And so yeah. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'm thankful for. Time and connections and friends and students.
Lovely. Thank you.
Sure.
And you did talk a little bit about your new favorite medium, gouache, right? So can we watch the piece you're working on?
So sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Can we watch the piece you're working on? Can I switch to your desktop spotlight? All right.
Please. So I'm just going to take a quick sip of water.
Yeah, sure.
So this was a little, you can't see it and I can't move it, and I can't move my camera, but I'll show it to you after. It was a little clay skeleton that I bought when we were at Day of the Dead, my husband and I, last year in Oaxaca. And I loved it. And I thought, well, it's such a playful thing. It would be perfect for tonight, for Sketching PlayLab, because it's such a funny thing, and it moves around, and we have it hanging, so it jiggles. So I'll show you what I have here. I'll pick it up. So yes, I've been having a lot of fun with gouache, and I discovered this little palette when I did some stuff for Etcher, and some people might have seen that demo already, but it's a little palette. It's actually 2 stacked palettes of porcelain that come in a little tray. And what's fantastic about it is the gouache actually stays wet in there. It doesn't dry up.
Because that's hard,
and
right? So gouache dries and cracks.
It dries so quickly. So because it's in this little tin, it stays wet, and I love it. So then I can go outside with my gouache and paint in my car. And I have a limited palette here, so in case people are wondering what I'm going to be painting with. I think when you're working with new materials, it's better not to have 100 colors. It's better just to have, you know, a limited amount, and then figure out what that material is like. So that's what I've been doing. So all I have is cadmium yellow and cadmium red and alizarin crimson and burnt umber and ultramarine and phthalo green and white. No black, because I can make black with those colors. And I've just been playing with it. And so I thought I'd finish up this, or at least put some shadows on this little guy. I'm just going to turn another light on. Maybe it'll be a little brighter. Is that better? The light on the...
It's great. So the browns and all the neutrals you've made here is with that limited palette, right?
Yeah, I mean, the browns are mostly burnt umber and white, and a little blue and a little yellow in some places. And when I'm working with gouache, I like to work with these little flat brushes. So I like these. There's some from Etcher, and these are from Jack Richardson. You don't want to use when you're using, anyway, the way I work, I don't use my good sable brushes, and I don't use floppy brushes. I like these kind of short, stiff, and it's a short handled brush.
Okay.
And they're very easy to control. So, so what I thought I'd do is mix up a little shadow color and see if I can do the little cast shadows. And since this is PlayLab, I've never painted this before, so I don't know what the shadow color is going to look like. So I'll mix it in front of you just so we can see. So the surface, my drawing surface is a yellow drafting table. And so what's the shadow color going to be on there? I don't know. I'll start with some yellow, but then I'm going to have to dirty it up. So it's going to be sort of a grayish mix.
I'm so glad that you are exemplifying Sketching PlayLab. What if and why not?
Yeah. Let's see. So that's a good pasty. What I like about gouache is its pastiness. I like these beautiful flat opaque colors. I think I'll put a little more blue in there. And gouache, if you haven't tried it, it dries a little darker, unlike watercolor, which dries a little lighter.
Yeah, okay.
So what I do a lot is I'll try to mix up enough to get this shadow color. And then what I'll probably do is test it on a little spot and see what it looks like. So let's see. Like you see there, I did a little test there. It's too light because it's the same color as the skeleton. So now I'm going to make it a little darker. I'm going to put a little more red and a little more blue. And I'll try and get more of a purpley color.
So Shari, I'm a bit curious. Do you think differently when you use gouache and CASEIN and compared to watercolor?
Yeah, I think I do think a little differently because because I'm able to add the lights on top, and because it blends different ways. And I forgot to mention I'm working on hot press paper.
Okay.
Here.
So much smoother.
So it's nice on hot. Okay. Here's a good shadow color. See, it's a little darker.
Yeah.
So now I can put those shapes in, and I'll try and paint around so that it kind of lifts up off the surface. Yes. And in my studio, I have several lights, so there's always like 3 or 4 shadows on everything. So I'm gonna paint the darkest ones first, and I already painted kind of lights and darks in the skeleton itself. So this brush holds a lot of paint, so you can see when I'm doing it, I just dipped it in once. I grabbed some paint, and I'm painting kind of with the edge of the brush. And I'm going to put a little more brown. The burnt umber, I was outside painting yesterday in my car, and I wanted to make gray. And I just used this burnt umber and the ultramarine, and I added a little white. So I didn't need black. I got this beautiful gray from the blue and the brown. It was really nice. So as I'm doing the shadow, in some places it's darker, in some places it's lighter. So I'm just going to start with the dark first, because if you add the white right away, it makes it too light. So I'm looking for like where the darkest parts of the shadow are.
Wow, so that's
I'm going to do those first.
Way of thinking, right, from watercolors.
Yeah, very different. So I often start from the darks. Nice. So like here's a shadow that's dark in one spot, and then it gets lighter as it goes out. So I'll put the dark part in, and I'll put a little dark here. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a right or a wrong. I just keep trying it, and I keep experimenting with it.
Yeah.
And it's in some ways kind of intuitive. You just like, oh, let's try this. And then if it works, you remember it for next time.
I'm watching you paint. I've never watched you paint in gouache. I've watched you paint in watercolor, and I see what's different, but I also see what's similar, like how clearly you think in shape. I've always been fascinated by that, and it's the same thing here. Yeah,
it's true. And I said that we were talking about that interview we did with Nishant, and I was saying that to him too, because I don't think in line. I watch you, and I watch you with the pen in your hand, and I think, wow, I never think in line like that. So yeah, I'm looking at those shadow shapes and what the edges are, and it's nice. I like it. Like if you see, let's see, can you see?
You can see the difference.
You can use it a little drier too. You see that?
Yes.
Like the edge of the shadow is a little drier. So I don't use gouache that much trying to replicate watercolor, because then I could just use watercolor.
Sure.
So I try to use it in a kind of opaque way, because that's what I like about it. I like that thickness. So you see now the shadows are starting to, it's starting to lift a little bit more off the table that it's on because of the shadows. And you can go over it, and you can also lift gouache colors. Like you can soften the edges of things. So I'm gonna change the shadow color a little bit. I added a little yellow and a little white, and I'm gonna put it in over here. The only thing is it's hard to blend. Okay. See, like here, I don't know if you could see that. It's hard to blend. But it makes these just beautiful grays. They're so nice. You want to put them on your wall. You know, they're like these soft kind of mousy colors that are so pretty. So nice to paint with. Yeah. Is it starting to look like it's...
Yeah, lifting up, and I can see where that the leg is not touching the table because you have the little...
Yeah, there, it came across. There, okay, good. So up here, it's a little lighter around the head. And I'm going to dilute it a little just to show you what it's like. I'm putting my brush in one of Eileen's beautiful bowls, and I know she's there because she said hi. So I'm going to just bring it out. Do you see? I'm just putting water on now.
Yeah, I can see where you're...
And I want to soften the edge, and now it's really transparent instead of opaque at the end there.
Wow, so there's a bunch of methods here, right? You put patches that you've not blended, and then you're blending like almost like watercolor.
Yep. Yeah, and of course it's different too if you use toned paper.
And then you have dry brush too. You have 3 kinds of shadow edges I can see in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's fun, and it's, you know, like yesterday I took it out. I took this little gouache kit out in the car, and it's a completely different experience once again when you're in an urban setting and you're trying to get sky and all of those things. It's even harder, I would say. I really struggled, and I need a lot more practice in working on location with the gouache. But practicing on the tabletop, like something like a still life, is fun to start with. Now it needs to go back to a little darker. So I'm going to go back and add a little.
We talked about, Paul and I, that we often start directly on location, but learning little concepts it's been a COVID thing for me to try them on the desktop, and it is so much easier to experiment like that. Yeah.
It's so,
Do you use less water for gouache compared to watercolor?
Yeah, a lot less.
So the drying time is faster, right?
Fast, very fast. Okay. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and you can, like this is a little wetter because I did it a little more transparently over here.
Yeah.
So you could see there's a little bit of bleeding in there, but not like watercolor.
The edges are soft.
Yeah. Like that. And then there's this arm up here. So how are we doing on time? Are we okay?
We're good.
Yeah, we can start inviting questions.
Anytime.
Some of them down. Definitely put your questions down. I'm noting some of them down. Like I said, the ones about supplies. I'll just have Shari write them up, and when we
Yeah.
email you, those can be in
Yeah.
there. But if there's other questions about a practice in COVID, anything that you feel will
Yeah.
inspire you to work, that's not a super technical, like a send me a link to your paint, put them in there because I'll collect them. And Shari,
I guess we can start the question and answer. And Shari, you can continue working, or if you
Yeah,
like
I'll
to.
work and I can work and talk.
yeah,
I can
so
multitask.
far, I think we've covered most that are not supply questions, but I'm looking for
So,
people's.
Suhita, do you have a personal question for Shari? A burning
I
question
have a
that you
personal
never
question. I'll have
asked?
to think of one. I'll have to think of a hard one. I talk to
Hard
Shari
one.
pretty regularly. I actually
I
like
have one.
ask her questions. So go
Okay,
for it,
go
Paul.
ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, so really simple one. Shari, if you have to pick one color, what would that color be?
One color to
favorite.
paint with?
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
or your favorite color. Yeah.
Paul, before she answers, you have to guess. Then we'll see if you guessed right.
Oh,
Wow,
jeez.
that's tough. Let me see.
One color.
Oh,
One
gosh.
color.
Can it
Okay.
be two? Can it be two?
Okay, so give her two then. Okay, pick two color.
Okay, what's your guess, Paul?
Are you guessing?
I-
You're gonna
I
guess
think
your answer?
purple or violet might be one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm
What
gonna
do you
say
think?
ultramarine and sienna. I'm gonna go safe.
Safe. Ultramarine. Okay, so what's the answer?
Well, the answer is that if I had only one color to use, it would probably be something like Payne's gray, so that I can paint everything.
I was
in
about to
value.
guess gray. Yeah, I was like gray. She's a gray lady, yeah, but I wasn't sure.
Well, because if you only have one, you want to be able to get the full range of values.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see how. Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
okay.
so if you want to summarize also the way I paint, I think in shapes, but I also think mostly in values.
Yes.
So I would
okay.
have to do something like Payne's gray, where it would look good on its own and not combined with something else.
Very
And that's
clever.
a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my question. Question from the room.
So I'm
Anybody?
sorry if I disappointed you with my boring
No.
Payne's gray answer.
No, you had a
No,
good.
no.
You had a good explanation for why. So then it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of colors I love, but it's about color relationships, right? So if there's
that's
only
such a
one.
hard
What about
question.
you,
One
Paul? What would
color.
you use? What would you use, Paul, if you only had one?
French
Lunar
ultramarine.
black?
French ultramarine.
Yeah, all-time favorite French, because it's such a friendly color to everybody. And you get, fantastic grays. You can get browns. You can use it on its own. It's a pop of color, or you can use it diluted, almost, soft blue. Yeah, so it's a really.
And you know what? When I paint with you, Paul, I notice I use more ultramarine.
Really?
It happens, right? It happens.
It rubs off. Oh, okay. I thought it was the orange, the transparent pyro orange.
Oh yes,
No,
that
it's
one.
the ultramarine.
Okay.
If I have to, what's a
What about
non-essential?
you?
Me, if you tell me to choose one color, I'll just cry. I don't think I'll choose one.
We were talking about one color that you're afraid of using, and I have one, and I think Suhita has one as well. What about you, Shari? Like one color that you stay away from?
Afraid of using.
Or not your favorite?
I've red. It's a really obvious answer for me. Red. I have such a hard time. I can only use red and little dots. If you give me like a bunch of apples or whatever, and I have to paint a lot of red, oof, that's scary to me.
Wow.
But you did the red chili, right? We saw you doing the whole
red
you
know why I
red
did it?
painting.
I did it to get over my fear of red.
I thought
that's good to know.
You did it so naturally. Yeah.
Good question.
That's why I put it on a red background. Red on red. Because I was afraid of red. Yeah.
My trouble with red is if it sits next to green, it looks like Christmas, right?
Yeah.
No, but the red chili was such a wonderful example of how you use a single color but to its full potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why, because I was experimenting. I was
That's
doing
right.
my own play lab.
Yeah, there you go.
Ah, now we know the story behind that piece.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
which is yours, Paul?
Mine is the lemon yellow, remember? I
Yes,
cannot
the
for the life of
cool,
me use
cool
lemon
yellow.
yellow. Yeah, I like a warm yellow, like a Hansa yellow deep. You know, when
So
they go
Shari,
through.
this was funny because
Yeah.
Paul said, "Yeah, I don't like cool yellows." So I said, "Me neither. I use, Hansa medium." He said, "No, no, no. Hansa deep is my coolest
Deep.
yellow."
Yeah, like
I
I don't know how
yeah.
people can use lemon yellow.
I like you know what I can't paint with is, and I have it on my palette often, but like a new gamboge kind of orangey yellow.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I
don't
used to
use it
hate
because
phthalo green, but now I really like it. I really like it.
yeah,
But I have to say, when I put phthalo green in my palette, I put a little bit of transparent pyrrole orange right in there when I leave it in
yeah,
my palette, so that I never
yeah,
end up with evil green.
yeah. We have to
exactly.
apologize to everybody in the room. We are geeking out on color. That's what
No, no, no.
happens
But
on
actually,
Hangout.
let me get you a question there. Somebody wants to know, Shari, ever paint abstract?
Never, 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 never. I don't know. I don't think I always have to look at something. I wish I did, but I never do. No, I don't know why, but no. Sorry for the
Yeah,
boring answer.
Keep your question coming. We are
yeah.
learning a lot about Shari today.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite city or country to visit once COVID
Gosh,
is
these are
over?
such hard questions. How many is she
Oh
need?
boy. There's so many. I love everywhere. I just like, and especially
What's the
now I
first
miss
place?
travel so much. But
Yeah.
Suhita and I, I had been my trip to Mexico, to Oaxaca, where this skeleton is from. That was the first time I was in Mexico. And I just fell in love with the place. So that's why Suhita and I keep saying, we're going to go back when this is over.
Yes.
We're going to go
I
back
love
and
Mexico.
we're going to paint there.
All of you plan your trip, right?
Yeah,
You're coming to
yeah. Let's
Mexico.
all
Yeah.
go.
It's a quick trip. But yeah, I love Mexico since the first time. I think I've been 6 times in the last few years. But to me, it's my quick fix of color for a place with color
Yeah.
and chaos on the streets. I mean, I love going to India.
Yeah.
It's halfway across the world. I miss it. But when I can't go, it's a quick flight across to Mexico.
Yeah, for you it's close, and for us, I mean, it's not that bad. I felt like I was just starting to discover it.
Yeah.
And then we had to cancel, so I feel like there's unfinished business, kind of like I got to go and paint some more there. And I love color too, so to me the color is just fantastic.
Shari, quick question from you. Another one which says, Shari,
Sure.
do you ever start a watercolor sketch in darks, or do you always work light to dark in watercolor?
No, I sometimes start in darks. That's a really good question. I do sometimes put the darks first because it's a good way to get dark, vibrant color on white paper,
Yeah.
and then your darks are always fresh. So
Yeah.
yes, I do often do that.
Yeah, I do that as well, just to get a sense of, because the white can be quite distracting, or
Yes.
it's difficult to judge, the lights.
Yeah.
So I put the dark
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
For me, it really
Yeah, so-
helps because then I know that everything else I want is going to be in there in the middle. Find it super
Yeah.
useful. Yeah.
Exactly. You set up the value relationships right at the start.
And Hargun says, in response to your saying that you don't do abstract, she says, oh, you should do the cut and build.
Yeah,
one.
she did it.
And
Yeah,
actually,
Shari
I did
was
it.
just
I
gonna
did it,
say,
and
Shari does
I did it,
the
and I
same.
loved it.
Yeah, we did that one together, just the three of us. So we do play outside of just PlayLab, and one day Shari
It
joined
was
us.
so much fun.
That was
I
fun.
loved it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I loved that. I think that was when I used all that ultramarine blue because I was watching Paul paint.
That does happen when I do, when we do, like, especially the rainbow caterpillar ones, Paul. That's a Paul
Yeah.
palette that ends up on my page. The
Oh,
gold
Yeah.
next to the blue.
yeah. We like that tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More
So
questions?
how far will you be taking this sketch, or when do you know it is done, Shari?
Oh, when you tell me we're done, I'm done.
No. As in,
I think
if
it's done.
we
I
give,
think it's done.
So if you kept going, I have a question. Would you
Yeah.
come in with the lightest lights last? Do you do that? Do you have an order in, like, do you have this is how I finish a gouache piece?
Yes, I would. So I'll just let's see what else I
Oh,
have
let's
in this
see
book,
that
because
then.
this guy has no lights on him, right? So
Yes, because he's all matte, right? Because
yeah,
he's
Yeah.
he's all clay color. But like
so you're
here's
putting the
one.
jewel colors now.
So yeah, that has all the little whites that I put
Yeah.
in on top. You know,
Okay.
all those little bits
Sparkles.
that go in on top.
Great.
And then I think I have the hot peppers in here. Those are the whites.
Yes.
Yes, those highlights. Oh,
Yeah, and here too. Yeah.
Wow.
So some of it is the white of the paper, but some is the highlights.
mm-hmm.
And I do like I don't normally paint on hot press paper, but I do like it for gouache because gouache is so creamy, and this hot press paper is so nice and smooth, and so it's really fun to do all these things.
Yeah.
But you could see this is the first time that I've done. I think Suhita, I mean, I know your skull has a name, and I was thinking as I did this.
Yes, he's
that,
Walter. Yes.
that he also might need to be Walter, or something. I gotta give him a name because
he needs a name. He needs a name.
Yeah. He does need a name.
That's fabulous. It's great to have seen you do that last bit. So I'm looking at the shadows, and you vary, even in those shadows, you have like cooler colors and warmer colors. And
yeah, I tried to change it a little bit as I was going along. So
and it makes for different levels. Like I can see where he's nice and rounded, like near the head. And
yeah.
lovely.
I'm going to lift him up and show everybody what he looks like. But I just wanted to say one more thing about this little palette, not because I'm trying to sell it or anything, but just because I used to waste an awful lot of paint because on this butcher's tray, I would squeeze out my gouache. And at the end of the session, it would dry out and I would have to throw it out. So now I cover it and I put it in the tin and I just wash off the butcher tray. And I save all the gouache, so I'm wasting a lot less paint.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lift this guy, Walter or whatever he is. Here he is.
Lovely.
So people can see. Can see what he looks like.
That's fantastic. Oh, you need to take a shot like that.
Yeah, I think so. So he's pretty funny, isn't he?
Yeah, I love him.
He's great. Yeah. So I just saw a question, but I didn't see the end of it. Somebody asked, how long does gouache stay wet in this little palette? Was that the question?
Yes, I think so, because I think it's about in the palette.
In this little etcher palette, I've left it in there for a week or two, and it's still. So here's how it works. So here's the little tin, and I put it in like this. And then there's another piece. This is meant, I think what they actually meant this was supposed to be the mixing tray.
Okay.
And then this is where you put your watercolors.
Oh, your colors. But you use a limited palette, right? So.
But yeah, and so I don't even use but I think it would be good. You could put watercolor in one and then gouache in the other. But I close it up like this with this tin, and then it stays for a couple of weeks. It stays wet.
Wow. Yeah.
And I've tried other methods like a stay wet palette, but it got moldy.
Oh,
so this little thing, it's very compact, and then I can go out in my car with this too when I sketch in the winter. Sure. Anyway, I'm just discovering the beauties of gouache.
Lovely.
So, you know, everybody, like I said, you try, like, I don't know how it works wet in wet, or if you can soften edges, or, so I'm discovering as I go, but
Yeah, that's fabulous.
I'll just show you, like, you see, you can, once it's dry, you can re-wet it and soften edges like that.
Nice.
A little bit. So it's not like acrylic. It's not like painting with acrylic where once it's down, it's down. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much finished painting that guy.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for that.
Thank you for your demo.
Yeah.
Sure, that was fun.
Oh, and Paul, you must remember we do want to share some links and URLs, right, Paul? You have those up?
So I'm going to share a page. Please watch intently because you may like it actually. You may like what we are. So as a gift for coming today to our block party, we have a few friends who has so kindly given us gifts. So first one is Shari. She has kindly given us, a discount code to use for all her courses. So if you look at the discount code, it's called Sketching PlayLab 15. So you're gonna get a 15% store-wide for all her courses, and it expires 31st of December. Now, don't worry if you don't get all this information now. We will still put it in an email, send it out to you. But this is for those who want to jump on a course right now, after this block party. And like you, Shari, do you want to add anything to the courses? Anything that you want to say?
No, just if what's nice is the last few courses, I've added a component where people can comment, ask questions, and post their work as well.
Oh, lovely. Nice.
So it's really nice. So people share their work, and you can see what other people are doing, which is really nice. And there's always more courses, and there's one coming out. The Mexican street scene is coming out.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow or Sunday.
Oh, that's a good time to have the code then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also I wanted to mention that if you have sketching friends, a lot of times people email and they say, I'd like to give a course to a friend. So I also do that. You can buy the course and then I give you a discount code, like 100% off, that you give to your friend. And so a lot of people do that. They give birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. So that's why I left it till the end of December in case anybody wants to give a holiday gift of a class.
Fantastic. And then you have more to share, right, Paul?
Yeah. And also, if you have been following Art Toolkit as well, Maria from Art Toolkit, she's also kindly given us a discount code for 15% off store-wide, of all the tiny little palettes that you can buy from her store. So please go check out Art Toolkit. Okay, some of their travel palette discount code. Just type in PlayLab, you get 15% discount instantly, and it expires 31st of December. So
lovely. So we'll put those in an email. I'll send it out on Sunday when both our parties are over. But if you want to write it down right now because you want to use it today,
you can use it today.
Yes.
Yes.
And I also want to say a bunch of people are saying we don't get your emails. So then if you want to get all of that in an email and you aren't getting them, splaylab@gmail.com. Get on our mailing list if you're not getting our emails, and I will put all of that in an email, and I will get all of Shari's, your requests for what supplies she uses. So splaylab@gmail.com is where you sign up to be on our mailing list, because Paul and I will share more than this. Thanks for that, Shari. And thank you, Maria. I think Maria's here. Thank you, Maria, for that code. I have this super teeny palette that I use for, like, I've been trying to work in value, right? So let's see.
Yes. So Cynthia has reminded us, yes, we are going to hold up our sketch very shortly.
Just a wee minute. So this is my tiny palette for when I'm trying not to use my whole color palette, and I use just
I should find my tiny
that's great.
too.
Yeah, it's superb.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, we do need to do this one bit, and then Paul and I will close it up. Thank you so much, Shari. what we
Oh,
do.
so
at this
much
school.
fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. I had
No,
a
it's
great
lovely,
time.
but we're not done. We want to hold up a sketch, or if you have your camera on, Shari, you don't have to because it'll get screenshotted. I'm going to screenshot all of us. If you hold up a sketch, I'll put those together and send all the screenshots in that email that I send. So it takes me a wee bit because we are 3 screens full. So just hold them up for a while and I will get through this. Let me get there. I am on screen 1.
Wow, I'm enjoying your artwork as well.
Yeah,
Everyone.
it's fabulous to see all
Fantastic
that
to
everybody
see.
created. All right, 1 second. This is screen 1.
Wow.
I screenshotted and you never know which screen you're on for me. So just hang on for a wee bit.
Keep smiling. Well, thank you so much for showing us with your memory of the year,
One
the last
more,
few months.
hang on in there.
Wow.
Lovely. Thank you for that. I got the 3 screens full. Paul, any last bits before we close it up for today?
Yeah, we're so thankful that you showed up today. Whether you're coming from Asia, you're coming from America, or anywhere around the world. We're so glad to have you playing with us. We hope you've gotten something out of this. We hope you're inspired, run off to continue to paint, celebrate the day. And then this is my memory of the last few months. Things on my table, my hiking shoes. I'm going to continue doing that. So that's all from me. And how about you, Suhita and Shari?
Lovely. So you know what, Shari, you go first and then I'll close up.
No, just it's been so much fun. I just can't tell you. It's fantastic to connect and to see faces. It's just, sorry, I gotta get rid of that message. I'm thrilled. Thank you for
Lovely.
inviting
Thank
me.
you.
Really, really.
And from me, I guess thank you all of you for turning up. You make it fun for us. It's nice to connect like this. I know some people have asked what happens in December. Paul and I are taking a wee bit of a break from our weekly sessions, and that's we need to do some play on our own to come up with fresh new sessions. We promise we'll get in somewhere. Paul will do an Insta Live or something somewhere in December,
sure.
right? And you will
during the
get emailed
holidays.
about that. We won't do regular sessions, but we'll do something on Insta Live where you can join like this and come in once or twice in December. Just something to keep it going. And we promise we're back in 2021 with new sessions. Thank you for supporting 8.5 months of this. We never thought we'd keep it running so long, but we hope to see you back in 2021. So until then, bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay well, everybody.
Bye.
Take care till we see you again. So please share all your sketches on Sketching PlayLab, hashtag Sketching PlayLab on Instagram, so we can continue the journey with you.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye-bye.